Alright, so we're going to be talking about percents and working with percent problems throughout Chapter 7. So we're going to first start off with an introduction to percent. This handout is located in your Canvas course. So just go under week number 8 on your Canvas course and you'll have access to this handout. The word percent comes or means out of 100 or per 100. This is the symbol we use to know percent. Thus, we can write 15% this way. In 2004 election, when we say that John Kerry received 48% of the popular vote, that means 48 out of every 100 voters voted for John Kerry. Likewise, since George Bush received 51% of the popular vote, that means 51 out of every 100 voters voted for George Bush. We can think of a percent as the numerator of a fraction with a denominator of 100. So if 48 out of 100 people voted for John Kerry, then the fraction that voted for John Kerry or John Kerry received is 48 out of 100. Since the numerator is 48, then 48% voted for John Kerry. So let's go to our workbook and we're going to take a look on page 97. And here we have a figure. You want to consider the following figures and answer questions. So we have a figure. It's a 10 by 10 or 100 squares. And we want to know what percent is shaded. So there's 10, 20, 21, 22, 23. So 23 out of 100, which would be 23%, is shaded. What percent is not shaded? Well, we can count 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we can say 77 out of 100 or 77%. The other way you could have done that is you could take 100 minus 23, our result from above, and that would give you 77. So looking at problem number 2, want to know what percent of the figure is shaded. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 6 out of 10 are shaded. If we multiply that top and bottom by 10, that would give us 60 out of 100, which would be 60%. And if 60% is shaded, then 100 minus 60 will give us 40% is not shaded. So let's try this one. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 6 out of 8, which that reduces to 3/4. Now 4 goes into 125 times. So if I multiply that by 25, that would give me 75 out of 100, which would translate into 75%. And if you think of it like 3/4 of a dollar would be 75 cents. So 3/4 shaded would give us 75%. Which means if we take 100% minus 75%, that would give us 25% is not shaded. And so this kind of just reinforces the idea. If we go back to our handout, given any fraction with denominator 100, the numerator is going to be the percent. So if a fraction is 59 over 100, then the percent would be 59%. It doesn't matter what that numerator looks like. If that denominator is 100, we can just read off the numerator to write down a percentage. So let's turn the page. So 39 out of 100, that's going to be 39%. Negative 0.08 out of 100, that'd be a negative 0.08%. 5 3/7 over 100, that's 5 3/7%. 100 over 100, that would give us 100%. Now, let's interpret the meaning of the percent in each example. When we say 87% of the students receive financial aid, that means 87 out of every 100 students receive financial aid. The sales tax rate is $8.25%. So $8.25 in sales tax is charged for every $100 in sales. 4.5% of the material went to waste. This would be 4.5 pounds for every 100 pounds went to waste. The city spent 135% of the original estimate for a project. So that would, you interpret that as the city spent $135 for every $100 of the original estimate for the project. Now, when the coach says, I want you to give me 100% out on the field today, coach means you want to give it your all. So 100% of a number is all the number. On the other hand, 50% is half of a number, 25% would be a quarter of a number, and 10% would be 1/10 of a number. So if you're asked for 50% of a number, we can divide by 2. If you're asked to find 25%, divide by 4. If you're asked to find 10%, divide by 10. So let's take a look at workbook problem number 6. So here we have 100% of 124. So that's going to be 124. That's all of it. B says, ask for 50%, so I'm going to divide that by 2. And if we divide that by 2, that'd be 62. %, that's 1/4, so I'm going to divide it by 4. And that will give us 31. And then 10% of 124, that'd be 124 divided by 10, and that will give us 12.4.